Lastly, we'll get into the clean and jerk here, really implementing 2 different exercises in the power clean and the push jerk. We want to start off with the bar over our shoelaces, our shin on the bar, and our hands just outside our shins. We want to have a good neutral back. We want to have our chest out and our head facing forward here. Once we do lift that bar up here, we want to have the same. We want to have the same from this position here. In the hang clean aspect, we have our chest out, our head facing forward. We have some good hip bend here. Our hands are in good position, and we are ready to perform the power clean. Of course, the power clean, we want to have triple extension in our ankles, our knees, our hips, and really get that bar through the roof or as close to us as possible into the catch, and to be an athlete at the top of the lift here. Our muscles include and would be the same for each exercise, respectively, with our glutes, our quads, our hamstrings, our calves, and then, of course, with the jerking aspect, we would have our triceps, our delts, our traps, things of that nature as well. From a breathing standpoint, we are probably going to have a couple phases of breathing here. We want to breathe in before we perform the clean section of the clean and jerk here, and then exhaling when we are completing the lift, and then take another deep breath at the top of the lift to complete the jerking portion, in which we would breathe out then as well. Some common sources of error in this lift would definitely be feet placement when we complete the power clean into the jerk, as well as hand placement, similar to what would be done for a snatch. And some other common sources of error would probably not be working through the full range of motion or extending our elbows through the jerking motion. Getting into the phases here, we see the clean and the jerk here. So just to reiterate and differentiate each section of this lift, we want to push through our heels here. We want to jump and catch that power clean, and we want to punch our elbows forward as if we are completing the power clean, which we are, and then forcefully extending our elbows and lifting that barbell above our heads to complete the jerk portion. We also would like to see our exerciser a little bit more even and fluid here with our feet placement when we do switch them. A little bit more in line and not so erratic and outside either. We'll start here now with the power clean exercise. Starting position here, we want to have the bar over our shoelaces, our shins against the bar, and our hands slightly wider than our shins. We would like to see the chest higher than the hips and the hips higher than the knees here in the starting position. As we progress here, we'll see the exerciser does a hang clean variation rather than the actual power clean. After the starting position, in a perfect world, we would get triple extension through our ankles, hips, and knees here into the shrug phase of the power clean before we throw it up into the catch. And before we initially get started, some coaching cues for this lift would be to set your core, or to tighten up, of course, to push through the floor or really drive through your heels, and to really punch your elbows forward when you're in the catching phase. Some major muscles used here are the glutes, hamstrings, the quads, the delts, and the traps as well. We also definitely want to take a deep breath in here and breathe out when we are performing the power clean. We see the exerciser does do a variation of the power clean, which is the hang clean here. Gets in a good position here, neutral back, chest out, head facing forward. Our feet are flat on the ground. We're ready to explode here. we definitely want to, through the up phase, to extend our knees, extend our hips, and really throw that bar straight up through the roof before we do end up catching it and throwing our elbows or punching our elbows forward in the catch phase. We do want to catch with a good firm back, set the core, keep that core tight, tighten up, and to be an athlete through the whole catch here. We do see the athlete throw his feet out here. That's a common source of error when you're in a jumping power exercise like this, is the feet flare out. Another one could be getting the bar too far from the body. And not getting good depth here on the catch phase as we see the exerciser do here. We'll begin here with the power snatch exercise. I do want to reiterate that the exerciser does not get in the perfect position here as we see this exerciser perform most power exercises in a hanging position, but I would like to point out that our feet are in the correct position here, hip to shoulder width. We also have our hand placement getting corrected here in this first frame. Grip measurement, first to opposite shoulder method here, getting our elbows fully extended. But all in all, we do want to have a neutral back when we first start. We want to keep our chest out. We want to have our head up and our eyes up, feet flat on the floor, of course, and ready to be in a powerful, explosive position. As we see here, now we have the elbows fully extended and the wide grip for the power snatch. Our feet are still in a good position here and our knees are slightly bent in this hanging position. In this position, we do see the exerciser get a pretty decent neutral back here as much as he can in a good explosive position, ready to pull the bar up and perform the power snatch. Regardless of the starting position, the transition is the same. We want to get our hips extended, we want to get our knees extended, we want to pull the bar close to our body, as close as we can to our body, and throw the weight through the ceiling and eventually catch the weight overhead, slightly behind the ears. But once we do get into that catch, we want to have fully extended elbows. We want to have a good stable torso, holding that weight, of course, keeping us stable with a tight core. We want to have our head still facing forward, of course, flat feet. We have to stay balanced in that aspect. And we want to keep our weight towards the middle of our feet as well. We'll see the exerciser demonstrate this here. And while we see good extension with the hips and the knees, maybe the barbell comes too far out in front of the exerciser here, which is a common source of error for this lift. We do see the bar being caught right behind the ears here, elbows fully extended, torso is erect. We have a good stable core here, but our feet are extremely wide here and not shoulder width or hip width anymore, which could be deemed another common source of error in this lift, is maybe getting our feet too wide in front of us or outside of us, excuse me. And of course, not working through the full range of motion or keeping our elbows extended through the catch here. As far as breathing goes, we definitely want to take a big deep breath here in the starting position at the beginning. And then breathe out throughout the catch. Major muscles include the glutes, quads, the hamstrings, the delts, the traps, and of course our calves here. Coaching cues for this lift: start off with that good stable core. Tighten up, keep that core tight. We want to explode or really try to move that weight as fast as possible throughout the lift and not just go through the motions here. And to be an athlete, we can't forget exactly why we are in the weight room doing this. We are athletes. We have to be in a good body position, not just on the field. Next, we'll get into some lower body plyometrics here with the drop freeze here off the plyometric box. You want to start in an upright position, up on the box, of course, feet shoulder width, and ready to just drop off the box here. It's also important to start off near the edge of the box, of course, so you're able to just drop off the box. The importance of breathing here would be to breathe in, of course, when we're on top of the box here, and then exhaling when we land. We'll see here we have the drop off and the catch or the freeze here at the bottom of the lift. Some common sources of error with this lift would probably be, jumping off the box instead of dropping off of the box, landing in an irregular position or not a good jumping position or catching position as well, feet too narrow or feet too wide, as well as maybe not absorbing the impact as good as the athlete could. Major muscles worked in this would be the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and even the calves here. As with the other plyometric exercise, some coaching cues here would be to tighten up or keep the core tight. We want to keep ourselves stable here throughout the exercise. We also want to be an athlete throughout. We want to be in a good position when we land, feet shoulder width, things of that nature, good jumping position, good landing position. And we also want to think about being light-footed or be a spring here. We don't want to land quietly. We're putting all our weight on our feet. Of course, you are when you step off a box, but we also want to be able to absorb it here and create the impact throughout the body and the lower legs here as a spring would. So we want to land quietly like a spring, be spring-like, be an athlete, keep our core tight as well. We'll begin here with the depth push-up here as our upper body plyometric exercise. We have the exerciser currently in the up position or starting position for the depth push-up. We want to start in a push-up position, arms fully extended on top of the medicine ball. In this position, before we quickly move our hands off of the medicine ball into the depth push-up during the down phase, we want to probably get a deep breath in here before completing the full down phase and exploding back up into the up phase where we would breathe out. We see the exerciser quickly move his hands down to the ground and explode back up with arms fully extended back to the medicine ball. Major muscles used would include your pec major, anterior delt, and your triceps as well. Some common sources of error could be incorrect hand placement on the push-up, also incorrect foot placement, which I do believe our exerciser does this whole time. Maybe we could bring our feet a little bit more narrow in here, as well as maybe not fully extending the elbows or getting full range of motion on the exercise. With an upper body plyometric exercise such as the depth push-up, some coaching cues would include to tighten up or to tighten the core, to explode back up on the up phase, so to explode or really fire off and push off the ground to fully extend our elbows back onto the medicine ball. And another one for this specific exercise could be eyes up, which is exactly what we see the exerciser doing here to make sure we're keeping good posture in our back and good form for a push-up, or in this instance, a depth push-up. So making sure our eyes are facing forward to give ourselves good form, to explode up back on the up phase, to fire off, and to tighten up or keep our core tight.